Hi, this is Sovereign, and welcome back to Lake of Voices. Last time, I think I mentioned at the very end that I was cutting a really long episode into two episodes. So last time I would cut off the end, and here we're just kind of back exactly where I cut it, right where I left off, so you won't miss anything. Anyways, like I said, last time we finally survived the night, so I'm super excited to get back into this and really see what happens as we finish it. Anyways, with that being said, let's just go ahead and hop in. My eyes slowly blink open to readjust to the brightness. What little there is, the sun is obscured by a thick layer of fog, making it impossible to estimate the time of day. I prop up my elbows and push myself up. The ground is hard and rocky, but that isn't the only reason I'm eager to get on my feet. I check my surrounding. The harsh, craggy earth of the island is interlaced with twisting vines and gnarled branches. Besides me, Ben Mail is still fast asleep. The guide, however, is nowhere to be seen. I realize I don't recall seeing him laid down with everyone. It's likely he left us hours ago. There's creeping silence here. I can't help but shudder at the hollow, aching feeling inside of me. It refuses to relent. I shift my weight back and forth, unsure of what to do with myself. Memories of last night, harrowing dreary, flicker through my mind.
Hello.
He gives me a gentle smile, makes his way over to me.
Morning.
We should eat something soon.
Yes.
It's the awkward silence for me. The guide appears back from the thicket.
The Nixie will not tread on land in daylight. However, being near the shoreline is still dangerous. If you leave the center of the island, remain cautious. Before the sun sets, I will be in this area. It would be wise to meet me here before nightfall.
Why do you do this?
I sharply turned to Bill. Essentially he's gonna try to fuck this
If
guide.
you would just let him follow behind us. If you had been there before, none of this would have happened. They didn't have to die.
The guide looks away, seemingly unaffected.
If all you're going to do is leave everyone to be lost, then why bother guiding us at all?
Despite Camille's severe words, the guide apparently considers his piece here finished. He turns toward the first airshaft
Wait.
he came. He's just pissed, because the guide was like, yeah, you can see what you
I
want.
know you're angry, but regardless of our feelings, we need the guide. If he leaves us, we'll all die.
And we've done so well with him.
Yeah, kinda. You're still alive, and I wanted you dead. I give him a cold glance. We wouldn't even know which bridge to take without the guide. Mimille knows that. This needs to stop. There are people counting on us to make it back.
We can't afford to lose our way.
I can't stay here right now.
Why don't you get real close to the water and look into it? I'm sure nothing bad will happen. I'm gonna choose to actually do nothing here and see what happens if I let the time run down, because it's an option that I haven't chosen before, and that's what they said. Now, in the beginning, I think it said if I survive the first night, it actually branches off into 5 separate storylines, and so I don't know which one. I don't know which, one that I've done. It seems as though my wish to be alone will be granted. There is no sign that they will be returning. A cold chill somehow whips away my beside the calm of the air. I keep my graze in the ground. Take a deep breath, sinks back my throat. I steadily empty my legs, empty my thought. Oh, she's grounding herself. That's so nice. I don't know what I'm doing. I think it's straightforward. If I find something familiar and powerful, my thoughts latch on the mission. I have to try to focus on the mission. I need to be strong. Is someone watching? I wonder if I'm afraid of being seen struggling like this, or if I hope I may not be on my own here. There's still nothing on the side of the island. Time seems so indefinite around me, passing slowly on this island. It almost seems to move as slow as a stagnant pond. I shake my head, burying the thought. It's irrational, but I cannot bear to think of even old pond water. Gradually, I begin to recognize the world again, and as I do a few stand warm stretches, testing my mind and my body. I do not know how long it's been, but I feel I have regained enough of my wits to continue on. There's nothing to be called a path here on the island, but I can get my way through the bush quite well. A thinner stand of trees. I briefly catch sight of the guide standing on one of the beaches. He seems fine. Even though I'm sure he turned his head towards me, he makes no show of acknowledging me. Alright, and Bamil is just kind of vibing. He's leaning against a tree. Even though he's smiling, you can tell he's sad.
How are you faring? Any problems?
Everything is fine. I came to check on you.
How kind. I've calmed down since then.
I'm glad to hear that. Is there any way I can help or anything you'd like to say?
Don't be
I
playful.
didn't expect to see you so worried about me, Kika.
I was actively trying to kill you. He throws his arms out wide with a sour
Have you
expression.
seen the guide?
Sure have.
I saw him earlier. He is the same as always.
Good, good. In that case, I'm going to stretch my legs for a bit. I feel stiff from standing in one place for so long.
I bid him a brief goodbye, he waves, and he leaves. What do I do now? Oh, so I just start pacing, so I just kind of wander around. Restless. It's, the island's safer than bridges, but that is not far from enough to ease my mind. Okay, got you. I sigh, I just set away my own. If I go back now, whoever I encounter will know that I don't want to be alone. That's more troubling than simply staying where I am. Got you. I sit. It's the way that this girl is repressing her emotions. I sit down and silently listen to the ambits of the island as I wait for time to pass. I only hope this will all end before I can no longer keep myself together. Well, just think about it. At least you don't have to take the bridge back. Alright, now the sun is beginning to set. And it's almost time to leave the island. And then you remember what's gonna come next.
Hello there.
Hello.
What's he gonna say? The guide arrives back with us, presses stuff of all chance of conversating definitively. I keep my focus on sitting my breathing and bracing myself for what's ahead. All three of us wait in uncomfortable silence until the night falls. Night settles like a shroud over the land, every inch of the world now covered in unrelenting darkness. Suddenly there is a gurgling. The water parts as the bridges of Sinnolos ride by, powered by some unnatural force, creaking like they might fall apart. I feel an unexplained pounding, like a hammer in the back of my head, beating faster and heavier than my own heart. I clench my teeth to stop it from churning my stomach. That sounds like terror to me. Yep. One day ago, it feels like a lifetime has passed. A thick, inky water. Chomp will do to you. Shoulder crawl. A shudder crawls over my body as I place my foot on the boards. I quickly shake it off. I have no other option. You have to go through this again. Yeah, you're kind of already halfway there. As tense as day-old corpses, we walk over the bridges in silence. Only sound that accompanies us is the thick lapping of the water at the bridge. He stays close by my side, Bamil, with a sour expression. He evidently has little interest in masking his disgust, but he remembers something beneath his breath, but it's inaudible. It feels as though barely any time has passed when it's explained that half the night has crept by. We encountered a few sunken bridges which forced us to reroute, while other paths were rotten enough to make us stagger our steps. However, the biggest threat is eerily absent, the Prowlers. I haven't seen more than shadowy glimpses of them down other paths, and even though those may have simply been tricks of the fog, I feel more on edge tonight than the last. Judging by Bamil's tenseness, he is not set at ease by the lack of the presence either. Because that's true, because then it's like, okay, so if they were like all up in your booty hole last night, but now this night they don't want to touch you, like what's going on?
Why?
I whisper the question softly, almost as silently as I scan left to right across the impossibly empty bridges for any sign of movement. It kind of like makes you wonder, like, is there something that they're afraid of that's out to get us? I ponder whether they're still weary from the consuming blade that lit up the night yesterday, or if because there's less dragging themselves across the bridges as usual, because many have already gotten what they wanted. Ugh. When my skin crawls with the thought of icy fingers at the thought, I can't control the sharp shiver that travels down my spine. He catches my concern.
This isn't right.
Ugh.
It shouldn't be nearly this easy to cross. Not after what we went through the other night.
Could they be planning something?
Maybe. That's another thing.
I don't know.
Maybe it's not the Prowlers, maybe it's the guide. I mean, because I feel like a natural reaction going into this is, okay, the guide is like this because he's seen so much and he's lost so much that would make you kind of like completely like indifferent to whatever happens. But what if he's just like legitimately evil? I could read Bamel well enough to know that his anger is still directed at the guide rather than the bridges themselves. It was my hope that he would be able to contain his feelings towards our lead until we put this maze behind us. It's becoming unlikely.
Your concentration is clouded, Bamele. What is troubling you?
Surely you're already aware. It's him.
I was aware.
I do know that. However, you need to stop allowing that to consume you, or else you could get hurt. Or even...
He releases an exasperated sigh while crossing his...
That is impossible. I can't stop myself from thinking about it. Everything makes so much sense now.
Oh, you put something together, huh?
What do you mean by that?
Recall yesterday. I asked him why he would lead others at all if he was heartlessly going to leave them behind. What if this is the reason? Before, we could scarcely escape these monsters. And now I can't even hear a whisper of one. What if they're already satisfied with what they've taken?
My eyes widen and I stifle a breath, the situation at hand giving both of us a reason to think on that possibility is absolutely unsettling, and his conclusion is even worse still. The notion of the guide allowing others to die unnecessarily on purpose makes it less dangerous for the remaining few. That is not something I was prepared for. I don't see why not.
Even back when we started, the first time we met the guide, he mentioned that at least one of us would die before the journey was finished. Didn't that exchange seem strange to you? He said it as though it was a price to pay for coming with him. The guide is free to do as he pleases. He can and will threaten to leave the entire group behind at so much as a hint of resistance. Nothing is stopping him. He knew this was going to happen. He had to know.
I take a few minutes to breathe despite the danger. I only barely resist shutting my eyes
We
against
need to
the
make
world.
it to the other side. We must keep moving forward and survive. The guide is our only way across.
I'm saying he cannot be trusted with our lives at this very moment. I need an answer to that, Kika. What do you really think?
I do not agree, say nothing. We can discuss at the end. Yeah. Coming to any decision on the matter is impossible right now. There is too much danger, too many unknowns to account for to reach any sort of conclusion. I have no choice but to shut the conversation down.
When everything is through, then we may talk about it. End of discussion.
Yeah. Our progress continues steadily and we still encounter no
How
significant...
much longer until we reach the other side? We've traveled quite a ways.
It should only be another couple of hours.
I could not imagine. I mean, I guess I could because I work a retail job, but... Airily turns his head to the
Is
side and
there
looks
a
back at us.
problem with that?
Is there?
Dude, shut up! We progressed through the bridges at a much quicker clip this time, but Mel's question was not idle curiosity. He was confirming the fact for himself. I should have known. The guide looks to be slightly irritated over the attitude Mel is
If
taking.
you have something to say, you should say it. Unless you're afraid that I'm going to leave you behind.
His statement lands heavy on us. Did he listen to our conversation? There were no sounds to cover the voices, however, I had assumed that we were far enough away from the guide to keep our words to ourselves.
don't.
Do not. This is going much too far. I urge him to come back. He ignores me and takes a stand facing the
Am
guy.
I right? Are you going to leave us behind after what I've done?
The guy isn't bothered at all by Mabille's entering space. He gives a level answer.
Well, that's grand. In that case, I'd like to know if I'm on the right track about something else. Are the monsters missing because they've already eaten? Or is there some other reason why they've all mysteriously vanished?
His eyes close. The guide's eyes close and he becomes
It's
completely
possible.
still. It's possible. Bemil glares over at the guide over the admittance, as though he had heard nothing after the first line the guide spoke. The guy's
If you enter
amazed.
these bridges, all you should expect is death. That is no secret. You need to stop putting so much energy into finding meaning, or else you will end up like the others.
That's valid.
You think that the results would have been different if only I had said more or did something differently, but that is not true. The conclusion would be exactly the same. If Lou hadn't died when he did, he would have been lost at some other point during the trip.
Who's Lou?
Lou?
Yes, Lou was his name. I had spoken with him in the past. He wanted to cross the bridges. I had deemed him unfit. He was far too desperate and unprepared. There's no helping someone like that.
If that's all well and true, why haven't you died yet? How is it that you've been able to cross these horrendous bridges over and over again without suffering the same consequences as everyone else?
Has anybody noticed that we're completely lost focus on whether or not there are prowlers around? The guide's face twists into a vicious snarl and he shouts.
I have died. I have no life to give. Everything I could have been was surrendered to this lake. That is the only reason why I'm able to stand before you now. I can show you the way, and I can give you advice on how to survive the perils you will face. That is all I'm able to offer. Is that not enough for you? What else do you want from me? Kindness? Sympathy? It's been far too many years since I was capable of giving anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Ah, beans. They keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform they move off of. Look up at Bemil's call. My chest tightens when I see him. The guide on what has become the other side of the small chasm. I leap back just in time as the bridge under me snaps like a twig. Glancing over again, they keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform I move off of. Dread creeps up my neck and I nearly lose my footing once I realize what's happening. Desperately stumbling backwards, I manage to regain my balance. I use the scoop far enough, went back to the bridge, I land on it, doesn't immediately start to fall apart underneath my lightweight. In another 3 swift steps, and I finally on sturdy wood. The bridge reluctantly stops shifting and settled. The only traces left of what was once a huge section of bridge are a few splintered boards floating in the murky water. The light consumed it. Oop. What am I gonna do? I lock onto Bemil's face. It's completely aghast, darting from one side of the bridge, the other like panicked animals. There's no mistaking that he's desperate to help me in some way. However, there's also no mistaking there aren't any options available to him. I love that. The guide says one word. Judging from the look of pure terror on Mel's face, I can only assume it was no. There is no way back to them. The guide frees himself from Bemil's grasp, and I continue speaking. Bemil seems horribly shaken at his words, but I can barely see from here. But I think he's quivering. As I watch the two discuss my face, unable to say anything, fear starts to crawl over me. My arms start to cool, to run cold, to freezing. It's not long before the rest of my body follows.
Go back and take the next bridge you come across that goes west. There may be enough time for you to find your own way.
I still have my lantern with me. The prowlers are less active, and if the guide says it's possible, then it could be true. Okay, alright.
I'll meet you there. Don't wait for me.
Alright. You start to slowly back away from the edge.
You need to go.
Interesting. I could not imagine this movie. That would just, I'd be so dead. Oh my gosh. Path west is as dark and desolate as every other bridge possible to see what's down the twisted way. Can you be trusted? I had to leave so they could go on without being weighed down, but don't regret that. But I ever wonder if the guy could have given me a proper suggestion because of the sinking bridge. A mistake could have been made. That's possible. He gave me false hope to keep the situation calm, or perhaps he intentionally set me down the wrong path to make it easier for them if I did not make it. Based on my direction, it does not seem, though I cannot, West does, I cannot possibly know. I'm gonna follow the guy's path. Yeah. Like I said, it didn't seem like he was in the habit of just letting people, like... I mean, like I said, what she said could have been true. He may have very well been doing it to, kind of settle the situation. Brisk pace. Walk down the Western Bridge. At a brisk pace, not wanting to risk tripping or running out of energy. The eeriness of the lake is concerning before, but now it's overwhelming. The blizzard-like fog drifting over the waters limits my vision to span my arms. They've noticed that I'm alone. The chattering grows. I consider briefly if the others hear them as well, or they have come specifically because I'm on my own. Straight back and walk more surely. Cannot let them believe I am an easy target. I even consider keeping my sword in hand, but it doesn't seem entirely likely they would realize it's something that could hurt them. To keep my mind from wandering dark, I count myself like we do in training. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of my best efforts, things are trying to get me. Worries wash over me, causing painful twinges underneath my clothes that make me jerk and twitch like a fly-bitten horse. The whispering, the fearing of vulnerability, the horrible thought of hopelessness is meddling together and consuming. My pace breaks from a steady rhythm. My counting sign it quickens as I start to succumb to fear. My brisk step turns along frantic strides. Something moves faster to go. Don't let them catch you when I listen. Adrenaline is a crazy thing. Until I suddenly... my sense of reason returns, I stop dead. My chest rises and falls with deep, heaving breaths as I try to calm myself down. The monsters erupt into an inharmonious chorus of what sounds to be wicked laughs. Even after the first crossroad, I continue with the guide's simple direction, keeping west every chance I get. I have no other hints for this labyrinth. An uneven clicking. Oh! But then what is it? I can run past the bridge connection, or turn back to... I'm gonna try to go past it. I have faith that following the same path I have been on this for the best. I still myself build up speed. Get closer to the branch with lurking threat, and I build up my pace so I'm sprinting. The light made it hiss, and so maybe backed off, but it didn't hear any splash. It knows you're here now. Ooh, it's running now. Am I going to fall into the water now? Damn. Flashes and exciting heart of many voices. Why? How? Why is it rotting? Or did they push the support beams? With no time left to ponder the mystery of this monster draws near, I scramble back onto my feet as it closes in. Grabbing my dark lantern, I resume running to put some space between us again. I open the latch on the lantern and pull out a match. I have to slow down, at least briefly, to properly light the flame without blowing it out. With the death still on my heels, I must let not one precious moment before executing the plan. Everything in hand, I begin to decrease the pace. Light the lantern. Oh. Moving as fast as I am capable, I place a lit match inside the lantern, and the oil catches fire. As the flame grows, I can hear our awful footsteps behind me begin to peter out. Stare it down. Yeah, you can't. It activated its prey instinct. There it is. Just, doing its thing. Yep. You certainly won't forget where you are now. Eventually, the Ferrar halts at the precipice of one of the branches. Frustrated, it paces back and forth on the border as though something is physically stopping it from going further. Decided to take that as a good omen. This journey of mine returns to one of isolation. Even the whispers of Sinlos have ceased. Suddenly, I realize dawn is beginning to rise, but you're gonna fall into the lake if the bridges sink. Oh, how close am I to that? 3 speed, desperately trying to outpace the sun, yeah. Ascend, unfeelingly, which, yep. Time waits for no one. He's calling out. Yep. Not bothered by that, however, I will find him. I'm coming, Bamil. Please just wait for me. I keep running against the increasing light, and his figure comes into view here on the bridges. Grabs hold of my side and supports my...
Why are you here?
I was looking for you, of course. I knew you had to be nearby. You had to be. Don't worry over it. I wasn't reckless enough to go in the dark. I waited until there was some sun and stayed on one path.
The bridges could have sunk.
Despite the admonishment, I'm terribly relieved
You
to
are
see him
free
again.
to give me a proper lecture some other time. Right now, I'd say it's time for us to get out of this damned place. Are you still able to run?
Yep.
Don't worry. We're nearly there.
We both make it. Alright. I'm breathing in motion settled. I finally look over my lap to see Neil standing ahead of me. Both of our eyes are filled with tears. Wild.
It is
guide
time
walks
to
toward me.
leave this place. There is nothing left for you here.
For better or for ill, there is only one person who can help those once they are within the grasp, the guide. If he were removed from the place, it would be no safer. For what I must do, if I truly want to defend the others, is keep them from coming here at all. When I return to my village, I intend to make that information acutely known for our elder. For that to happen, we must
Goodbye.
leave.
Bamele, we're leaving.
Okay, yep. Survivor's guilt. Seems about right.
Those words are music to my ears. Let's head out.
Alright. Walk into the forest, acknowledge without even acknowledging the guide. That is for the best on whole, we must get away from here. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it later. Despite the firmness I so intently tried to have, my heart starts to waver. Margaret, Lou, they're both still here. I wish to give them a proper farewell. I want to do something. My eyes begin to water, and I almost turn back around. No, it's done. I need to remember that. They would never want me to ascribe their lives to Sinlos. Nothing would disgrace their memories more. I will keep them in my thoughts without allowing the lake to poison me. With my steadfastness truly regained, I marched into light with no hesitation. With a solemn heart, I at last arrived in Henmer. They were grateful to see me, for it was a desperate situation indeed. The urgency meant that my mind was occupied with other matters. I worked tirelessly to aid Henmer's own guards in forcing back the brigaders. But during the moments of calm when the sun went down, I would remember the lake. Bamil was of great help during the fight. His outward positive demeanor lifted the spirits of many around him. I could see from the shadows of his eyes that he hadn't forgotten what we went through. Nor could I miss the distance that had grown between us. He spoke few words to me, and I never gave him many either. Yet he seemed stronger than I had seen before. I admire his will. When receiving payments for his services, the guide must give a report of all those who both succeeded and failed to cross the lake. The name and fate of Margaret soon became known in Heimer. I added that she was an intelligent, thoughtful person, and urged them to show respect for her passing. I hope that one day I will have an opportunity to go to her hometown and give my proper my own proper respects. His retelling of the events had little to say of Lou. I know that is because he was not meant to be there and was never one to open up, but still it saddens me to face how I never truly got to know who he was. I can only pray that those who care for him will learn the truth of what happened. I have not heard nor seen the guide since then. He will remain obscured in that realm of fog and fear, a mysterious light off in the distance that is ever out of reach of the real world. I worry about when I must return home to my usual life. It will be difficult to continue as things were before. One thing I know for certain is that my village elder must be told that no one is to cross Sinlos again. I have already told Heimer leaders the same. Not a single more person should have to experience what we did. It's darkness that will remain with me for the rest of my days. Though so much was lost, I tried to believe that our lessons will keep others from suffering the same way we did, and in the end, something will be gained. Alright, that was the Lake of Voices. It was actually really good. I liked it a lot. I know there are definitely other things to do in this game. I don't think I'll be getting to them before I do my next big playthrough. And I also know this episode was a little long, so thanks for staying with me until the end, if you did. So I don't think I'll get to it before my next big playthrough, but I would love to do another playthrough of this in the future. And pretty much choose the opposite answers, and see if that makes any difference for what's going on, seeing if we could save any more people, or really what's going on there. The art direction was beautiful, the description and the way the story was written was gorgeous. And like I said, this game is free, y'all. Like, you gotta go check it out. Again, this is not a graphics-heavy game. You could probably run it on just about any laptop, PC you have. And like I said, totally free, multiple endings. It's fantastic. I really could not recommend it more. So I'm gonna go ahead and, as all these free games, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description for the game itself. I recommend you check it out yourself, play through it yourself, see what you can find. See if you can find more than I did. Alright, but until then, I will catch you in the next video.